Hey y'all, good evening and welcome to another version of Wine Down Wednesday with your girl Keisha, where we keep it real, we keep it honest, and we go through what we've been through, right? So, guys, tonight's conversation, everybody is for anybody and everybody who's ever had to pick themselves up after being broken. We're talking about healing and what it really means to boss up after you've been humbled by life. So, with that being said, y'all know I'm always sipping on a good glass of red wine. So tonight I'm drinking the same thing that I was drinking before, and that was what I'm drinking, Copella. If y'all can see the bottle right here, baby, this wine right here, this is a good red blend right here. It's about $20. And you can get it from anywhere that has a good wine collection. And because, and I just wanted to kind of bring back the same wine because what I want to say is sometimes, when things feel comfortable and it feel right, it tastes right and it feel good, why change the flow of things, right? So that kind of ties into what we're going to be talking about tonight. And of course, I need to introduce my guest here because the other people you've seen here before, Dr. Francois, and of course we have your girl Demetrius back. They're gonna be chiming in when necessary. But tonight's guest, our guest is Boss Up Mommy. Um,
Hello.
and she represents growth, strength, and she's really been doing some work to be a better version of herself. And I am really, really excited that she's here to join our show tonight. So welcome.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate you. It's my pleasure.
so let's get into it, right? So because when people look at you now, they see a glow up. They see the difference in you. They see the confidence and the strength. But what they don't see is, how you got here. So
Mm-hmm.
tell us, what did your healing journey really look like, and what made you recognize that, hey, this is the right path I need to be on.
I've actually, this is my second healing journey. The first journey I was on started at 19. I didn't really know it was a healing journey. It was just I went through a bad breakup with my older son's dad. I got kicked out the house I started dating pretty much a dope boy at 16 years old, got kicked out the house by 17, and now I'm living with this man. He's a pretty much a grown man. And with that lifestyle, it comes money, cars, clothes, and women. And so I pretty much was just, dealing with this man, living with him, just trying to be a good woman at the age of 17, 18, 19. Got pregnant at 17, had my son at 17, and by the time 19 came, I had already been abused by him, cheated on, and things like that. And if I could back up before him, I started dating at the age of like 14. And so I was with a guy, I didn't have any kids with him, but he also, when I look back, he had abused me as well. And so I pretty much escaped him and went to, the dope boy, the protector, and things like that. So at the age of 19, I was just faced with a crossroad. It was either
Mhm.
continue putting up with what I was putting up with, or just walk away into the unknown. And so I ran back to my safe place, which was my grandma's house. She had just came back from being in Dallas for Katrina in '08. I went back to her and thank God for her strength, because she told me, she said, you got three things you're going to do. You're going to get back into church and get your relationship right with God. She said, you're going to go back and get your GED, because I had dropped out of school two times, twice in the 12th grade. And she said, you're going to go get you a job and you're going to get on your feet for you and your baby. So I thank God for that guidance. And once she told me that, and she told me, she said, you don't need him. You enough by yourself. And so she ain't saying like that. She cursed me out. I'ma just be real. But I needed that, and I just took off. So in 7 months, I left a three bedroom house, the cars, the money, everything. In 7 months, I got all that back, and so plus more. plus my peace of mind. And so that was like my first real introduction to, okay, I could do this. And so I pretty much spent my 20s just, dating here, not dating, spending time by myself and things like that. Had a few situationships and all of that. But by the time I turned 30, I pretty much ran back into someone that I had met when I was like 12. And so things kind of moved very quick with him. I felt safe with him because he had been running behind me for so many years. And I got into a relationship with him. We had a child. I already had 2 kids, so we pretty much blended a family. And in that relationship, I just found myself just trying to build with this man, just over giving. When I say over giving, not really money, but just, constant like, come on, babe, we could build, we could do this. But he had so many unhealed wounds from his childhood. He didn't feel worthy of even, dealing with somebody that actually really loved him. And so now that I'm on this healing journey, I understand that. Inside the relationship, I just felt like you bamboozled me, you sabotaged this, I just pretty much took it all personal. So after 5 years, I decided to just, walk away. It had got a lot, I had gained a significant amount of weight in that relationship. I looked at 10 years older. I just was exhausted. And so I walked away, ran into somebody from my 20s, got with him for 2 months, and inside of that 2 month relationship, it was just things came up. Everything was calm, but I didn't feel safe, and I was
Mm-hmm.
pretty much bringing in things that I went through with my daughter's dad, and things that this man had did me from my 20s. I brought that into that situation. And so after that, I was like, you know what? I'm walking away. I'm sitting with myself. I deleted every man in my phone. If you kept calling me, I blocked them. And when men would try to talk to me out in the street, I would just, respectfully just dismiss them, because this time, I really wanted to just stick with me, just me and God, me and my journal, me and my meditation, calming my nervous system, recalibrating my nervous system to start feeling safe again. And so that's pretty much how I got here. And let me back up. So I had weight loss surgery November 2024. I was still with my ex, my daughter's father. And then we broke up in March. And so a lot of people, felt like, oh, she had that surgery and she left him. But he knows the truth, that
Mm-hmm.
was far from the truth. I was still in it. I was mentally checked out, but if he would have did things different and turned everything around, then I definitely would have, gave him another chance. Because again, this 26 years of knowing this man, I have at the time, a 4-year-old daughter with him. But I'm happy that things, turned out the way it did. So I did almost a year, yeah, like a year now blow up, and I'm excited. I'm happy.
So
So
in
I,
that
I had
time,
to
so
compress everything into, because it's a lot.
mhm. Yes, it is. So in that journey, and I know, and I feel we all humans have insecurities. Period. Like we all are insecure about something. So what do you think that you were battling with through all of that that made you, like I always say, I meet the same man over and over and over again,
Hmm.
and why do I keep meeting that same person over and over again?
Hmm. So it was two things. Number one was I was molested at the age of 4 and 5 by my uncle, my mama brother. And
Hmm.
I had kept that to myself pretty much until I was 25 years old. So that's number one. And then number two was the first 11 years of my life, I didn't live with my mama. I lived with my grandmother. And so I never felt like my mom was a bad mom or anything. I just kind of cling more to my grandmother. And my mama was young. She got pregnant with me at 14, had me at 15. So I look back on that. She was just trying to figure her life out. And she had like 4 kids by the age of 19. So she was trying to figure her life out and things like that. But I didn't realize that when I was probably about 8, I used to go to New Orleans East by my aunt house. And my cousin, I used to play with her. And one day she told me, she said, we got into it, and she said, your mama don't even love you. She said, you never with your mama. Your mama don't even check on you. And at that point, at 8, I never felt like that. So I realized that was my first abandonment wound from her telling me that, because I started thinking like, now I don't live with my mom. I don't talk to my mama every day, So those were the two things: my molestation that happened to me, and then the abandonment that I felt. And then as time went on, me and my mama relationship was very rocky throughout my adulthood. And sometimes it still is. And so a lot of times I feel rejected by her, and so I feel like that made me whoever, I get with, that I feel like I really like, and I feel like they're showing me in the beginning that they really like me, I cling. I would cling to them. And because I don't want, didn't want to be abandoned again, didn't want, rejection again and things like that. So I feel like that's where it stems from. And if I'm with someone or I get with someone and they give me a sense of safety, I'm really all in, because again, my innocence and my safety was took away from me against my will at such a young age. And so those are the things that I recognize and I have to really pay attention to when I start back dating.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think I had a conversation similar to this with Dr. Francois down there. That's one of my good friends and my line sister. So we were
Mhm.
out and I told her, I said, like if I can have a relationship with someone, it could be female or male. The minute you make me feel unsafe, like I'm not safe with you, I'm gonna start withdrawing from that relationship,
Mhm.
period. I'm gonna
Mhm.
shut down. And
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, it really doesn't have anything to do with that person per se. It's the things that I've experienced in my
Yes.
trauma that triggers my nervous system to feel that way. So
Mhm.
and a lot of the times it's never the other person. It's just me and how they made me feel in that moment. Instead
Yes.
of communicating that, like, hey, I have these triggers, and when you did this, this made me feel like this
Mhm.
because maybe I was abused as a child or
Mhm.
something traumatic. Like most kids that are abused,
Yeah.
they and I recognize that, and whether it is physically, sexually, mentally, how if you're emotionally abused in any type of way, you
Mhm.
really have trust issues and
Yes.
that abandonment, and and you're always seeking the need to be um not so much seen because you felt never heard as a child. So you're
Mhm.
constantly seeking that validation
Yes.
from other people.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am. You hit the nail on the head.
So I would say like healing is a process and it
Mhm.
is the product of a growth mindset, right? Um my story is pretty similar in some ways, um definitely was sexually abused. I wrote uh, a whole story about it, of my whole experience um at 5, and it
Mhm.
continued. And so as a result, the level of safety changes for you, right?
Mhm.
People look different,
Mhm.
right? Experiences are different.
Yeah.
And so when you think about like, how am I going to process people as I grow up and as I interact with them throughout life? It just changes how
It
that
does.
dynamic looks like for people.
It
And so I can honestly say I probably caused a lot of hell and a lot of hurt to other people because I was too emotionally numb to give a damn about you, right?
Mhm.
Because for me, I had to be my own protector, and no
Yeah.
one was the safe person for me.
Mhm.
Like, people came around to and presented themselves as safe, uh but when those things are damaged in your in your home, in the place that you're supposed to be safe with the people who are the closest with you, everybody is suspect.
Mhm.
And so for
Yes.
I mean, it's a fact.
It's real.
It's
It's a
real.
fact.
It's definitely. And I tell people about touch all the time. I may not be the most like I really have to feel safe with a person to give a person a simple hug because sometimes just a simple hug or a touch alerts my nervous system to feel
Mhm.
totally different. If you touch me in a way and I feel uncomfortable, I don't ever want to deal with you again because you gave me a something that you've triggered something in me that makes me look at you as a horrible person. And you're
Mhm.
not a horrible person. It's just that you can't be sneaking up on me trying to hug me in a certain kind of way because I'm not going to be receptive to that. That's something my mindset has to be ready for.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I've had to, and just going back to healing and just talking about like I had to get to a place where I could be touched, right? Like I could
Mm.
be, because I can be all in, but I also, if anybody ever been my body language is to myself, right? But my verbal and all of those things, I try to give that to people verbally because
Mhm.
the touch part for me, um, we got to get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
we got we got to get there. But the good thing though, I have learned, how to manage people touching me, right? Like I'm
Mm.
okay in those spaces, but people being behind me, all of those things, that kind of thing where I can't defend myself, those are are places where I still grow. And that's
Mm.
why I say healing is a continuous process because damage that occurs, you don't know every facet of damage
Mhm.
that's happened to you in trauma. So
Mhm.
one
Mhm.
thing you're seeing, and God had, yeah, I'm probably sound like I'm all over the place because God has just hit me with so many things right now, but
Mhm.
God has this wonderful way of like covering you and allowing you not to feel all of the pain at one time. Right?
Mhm.
So if he
Woo.
allowed you to feel everything that was coming at you at that one time, you wouldn't be able to handle it. So what
No.
you deal with is what you see up front. And so that's the thing that you focus on. But then as you heal, you say, okay, cool. I healed in this space. I got this. And then God reveals the next thing that the other wound that
Mhm.
he had been covering up. Now
Mhm.
he can reveal the flesh part of that because now you're stronger. So now the
Mhm.
next wound has to unveil itself and you got to heal there too. Right.
Yes,
And then
for sure.
and so healing is a continuous
Continuous
process,
journey.
and you will never know the amount of wounds until they have been all uncovered.
Mhm. Yes,
So,
ma'am.
but it comes from a growth mindset. Whether or not you choose to heal is how you deal with the pain when you in it.
Mhm.
Yes.
So,
Mm.
I
Yes,
mean, that's
ma'am.
Yes.
listen, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
God was just hitting me with so many things at one time. Like, God, hold on, look, let me put it together. Let me put it but
But
I mean, it's just for real, like, and it was just one of the things. So for me, my that's how my healing journey has looked in my life. Uh, one of the things he's taught me how to do is to take my pain and make it into purpose,
Mhm.
right? And so because I will never know where I need to heal until I touch somebody else that because I have become so numb
mhm.
in places that I have to then reach down because I still love hard. I still love people,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? But when it comes to myself, like we shut down over here because not many people can touch me in that space. So I can care about you and not love you and not love you to my core. Like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I'm a Gemini too, so that.
That's just straight crazy. So, but
Yeah, because that sounded crazy just now. I know, but I understand it in my head. But
I understand what you're saying, though.
but I'm so when I started with my foundation and just helping people to heal from child abuse and things like that, when I would come across other people who experienced my experience, now when I tell my story, I don't cry. But when
Mm.
other people tell their story, I am bawling. Do you understand me? Why
Mhm.
couldn't I
Mhm.
cry for myself?
Yes, I
Right?
experienced that
And,
before.
oh yeah, you and a guy I had to sit with that. God, how come I can feel all these other people's pain and not cry for myself?
Mm,
Because
my
you know
God.
why? Because you don't see yourself as a victim.
Not
When
anymore.
not,
Yeah.
but not per se you're the victim, but you don't feel like I don't know how to say it,
Yeah.
but some people, you're not a martyr in your own situation is
Mm-mm.
what I want to say. You don't, like, I've come through this, I've triumphed. I don't want anyone to feel empathy or sympathy for me because I don't feel this for myself. But what we don't recognize as women also, and I think men, mostly with men, because they never express emotions, you are entitled to feel. You are entitled to cry out. You are
Mhm.
entitled to be angry at the person or whatever happened to you. You are entitled to that.
Yes.
And when we start thinking of, oh, my pain is not greater than the other person's pain, or what that person has been inflicted with is not I didn't suffer anything as bad as that person. But abuse is abuse, no matter how you put it, how big, how
Mm.
small. It is damaging. It
Yes.
is, it is very much damaging, and
Yes.
people don't recognize the work that you have to put in
Yes.
to not be as reactionary in love and reactionary in life, period. Because people that are traumatized, I think we're very I'm gonna say hyperactive in everything that you do. Like you mentioned, you love hard. I'm not gonna, if I don't feel safe with you, I'm just gonna be neutral with you. But if I
Mhm.
like you, I like you. But
Yes.
baby, if you hurt my feelings, that's it. We don't have
Yes.
nothing else to talk about. It's not that I'm mad with you. I can just turn you off. In my mind, you
Mhm.
dead. And that's how we kind of
Absolutely.
dead in the experiences that we go through because it
Mhm.
happened and this doesn't exist anymore. So now we don't allow ourselves to heal through that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to say was, so in my experience, and it used to puzzle me when I would get with men, they would come in with a infatuation. When I say infatuation, they just loving on me, want to always be around me, just want to show me off, all of these things. So in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, this my person. He loved me, right? Um, and plus I was yawning for that. Yawning for attention, yawning for love, yawning for safety. They would make me feel safe. So by the time, probably, I'm sure it would be like red flags, but I
Mm-hmm.
had a thing where I would turn them red flags into green flags real quick. So
Uh-huh.
I take accountability for that. But I would just kind of look over some things. But by the time things will really start revealing itself, I will feel like, oh my God, I'm all in. And then I had this sense of loyalty because I'm like, well, I don't want to leave because, I know what it feels like to be abandoned. And so I would just stay in situations longer than I was supposed to because I always wanted it to go back to how it was in the beginning. I wanted you to love me how you loved me in the beginning and things like that. And so that's things that I had to take accountability for too, staying too long, staying in situations that's literally breaking me, hoping and praying that he would, go back to doing the things that he did in the beginning. But again, I also understand that that comes from, those them unhealed wounds, that ancient attachment that I had. And so definitely, it's definitely been a journey of just figuring everything out and figuring out the why, letting God just talk to me, in my quiet moments when it's just me and him. And I understand a lot more now. I see things very clearly. So I just wanted to, add that to what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
beautiful.
will, both Demetrius and Ronica and Keisha, what you've shared so far has helped my mind clear and really focus in on the topic at hand. And it's a really rich and compelling topic. And I'm going to make this statement about the topic because it's indicative of what my healing journey has looked like, right? In that there's strength and vulnerability.
Hmm.
And when we speak to our traumas and our pains, that could potentially be a vulnerable position, right? That one is placing themselves in because they don't know who they're speaking their trauma and pain to, how they're going to receive it. Will they judge them? Will they not support them? Will they not believe them? Will they deny it, right? So, but the strength that it takes to speak to one's pain and trauma is something that I learned through my healing journey, because I thought by not talking about it, by suppressing it, holding it down, keeping it in, and cutting people off, that did trigger me, that did trigger those feelings. Because, my trauma is really connected to neglect, right? Where I was feeling and experiencing neglect from the ones that were supposed to love me, right? And give me attention and be there for me. And so what that turned into for me was just like, well, okay, I'll just be there for myself, right? I'm the strong, independent Black woman, right? I don't need nobody, right? But what was just beneath the surface of that was a lot of need for others, right? Friendships, intimate relationships, better relationships with my siblings, with my parents, so forth and so on. And it's work, and I'm still working through, right? And for me, it's therapy, right? Therapy, like actual going to therapy on a regular basis, and incorporating, excuse me, a meditative practice as well, to let myself be okay and feel safe being vulnerable and saying, I'm not okay. And saying, you know what, you hurt me, right? That hurt. And by saying that, it doesn't make me weak. If anything, it makes me that much stronger, right? So again, Demetrius, when you said, right, like you not crying for yourself, I never did either, because I thought that was weak, right? That was the thinking I had, like, to cry about it is weak. I was like, to get mad about it, which is an emotion, right? Like we have this full range of emotions, and and through our trauma and journeys of healing, we understand, how we can express that full range of emotion, and I'm learning, like, actually, yeah, when I'm hurt, it is okay for me to cry. It doesn't mean that I can't handle it or I can't face it, right? If anything, it means the exact opposite. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you all for pulling me out of my brain fog.
Well, welcome, Doc.
What is it, we halfway through the show already and I showed up?
Yeah,
That's all right. That's all right. Never late. Never late.
Yeah, so Dr. Bird makes a valid point that emotional healing is a lifelong process. And he's saying knowing your triggers and working through them are key. They are absolutely key. And he says tears are from release, because I know when we don't put a name on it and we don't acknowledge our hurts, we tend to be in performative modes all the time, feeling the need to perform for everyone. I'm happy, nothing's wrong. Oh, I need to be here, I need to be there. Everything is okay, when you all fucked up inside. You inside crying every night, pulling down, your eyes, you put makeup on, trying to hide everything you're going through. But what we don't recognize is that until we name it, you got to put a name on that bad boy. I always say, I'm going to name it. I'm going to call you out now. My thing is, if I'm into anything and it doesn't feel comfortable for me, I don't care who you are. I'm backing away from it. If it does it, because it gotta feel right for me. And I find that when we're in that performative mode, we want to be people pleasers. So we want to keep those people around because we feel abandoned and we want to be a pleaser to them, or disregarding everything that they ever done, thinking they're gonna walk out of my life. Now I'm like, let me tell you something. Baby, I don't care. You could walk away if you want to walk away. I'm perfectly fine with being here every day, baby. I got, as long as I have Netflix and a good glass of wine,
That part.
Yeah.
I am fine because peace is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Peace is everything. And I would rather be by myself than to be with somebody working on my nerves. I'm wondering where he at night, who he
Mm-hmm.
with, who he calling, why he didn't text me on time. I caught him with 5 other women last week. He was cheating on me while he was with his wife. He cheating on me while he with his wife, but I'm expecting him to be faithful to me.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So I don't know how in my mind I thought that was logical, but
Look, listen, girl.
This girl, look, I say, I think for me, when I took my first trip by myself, I thought at that moment, because like, I was already doing, God would test your healing, right? Your self-righteous healing in strange ways. So mine was taking that trip by myself to Las Vegas, right? It was the first time I took a trip like by myself like that. And I had the best time in my life.
Mm.
But at that moment, I realized I did not need people to have a good time.
Mhm.
I did not need anybody to be around me to have a good time. And so I was perfectly fine in being by myself, but not trusting that I could, because remember, safety is my thing, to be safe by myself.
Mhm.
So to be safe in another space by myself, girl, that was a challenge. And so I did that, and I was like, oh my God. But I had the best time because what I realized, I don't have to count nobody else's pocket.
Come on.
I ain't got to worry about if nobody don't want to do this. I can get up when I feel like it. I
Mhm.
can cancel something if I feel like it without hearing nobody's mouth. I ain't got to worry about whether or not, somebody's taking too long in the bathroom. I ain't got to worry about if they want to eat this, don't like this, complain. I don't want to wear it. I don't want to go. I'm too fat. I'm too cute. I'm too this. I'm too that. Oh, it's too long. Oh, it's too hot. Oh, it's a girl. Baby, listen, because I do a lot of girl trips. And when I tell you the things that happen on these girls trips, I be like, if people go with me, I will leave you. Just know I will leave you.
Yeah.
Um, anybody who has come with me, please know if you come to a trip and you a Debbie Downer, I will give you a couple pep talks. After the second pep talk, you have free reign to come in and out the house as you please, but you will not detour my trip.
That's right.
I paid my money to come here. If you want to pay yours to complain, be late, show up when you want, all that, the itinerary is going to keep on going.
That's right. But
Right.
let me say this, y'all. So y'all know, like, people don't recognize that, healing is a process that,
Mhm.
and it's a long process. There's nothing where, because some women think, okay, I'm with a man, I done found, okay, I done been by myself 3-4 months playing with other men. Now I'm in another relationship. I'm healed. I'm over
No,
that person.
no.
So do you think that people kind of confuse like being attached with love?
Yes.
Yes.
And I also feel like a lot of women, we in this culture now where if if what he won't do, well, we always heard that coming up, well, he won't do, another man will. Or we in the sexy red era, forget that nigga, get another one. And I mean, this is what we face with right now. But for me, I'm a walking testimony. I could tell you, you gonna run into that same type of man, different face, different height, different body, and you that same type of woman. So
Mm-hmm.
you leave in this relationship, and you gonna bring all that into the next relationship. And again, you're gonna run into that same type of man, and until you sit with yourself. And
Thanks.
this is I know this from me, from my own
Okay.
experience. So I'm really a big advocate of women sitting with themselves, sitting with yourself is very uncomfortable. I sat with myself so much to where I probably cried more this last year than I've ever cried in my life.
Mhm.
And now I allow myself, if it comes up, I let it out. Because I
Mhm.
do understand too, tears is, pain leaving the body and things like that. And I ask myself, what's wrong? What you crying for? And I allow myself to feel it. And a lot of times we find ways to cope. And a lot of times men is the way you women find, to cope. Some people use drugs, some people use heavy alcohol, but a lot of women just go run to another man and they
Yep.
let that man be their coping mechanism. And so I tell women, you have to sit with yourself. You can sit with yourself now, or you can figure that out 15 years from now, 20 years from now. I have women that DM me in their 60s, and one lady was almost 70,
Mhm.
and she had told me it was a cycle. It was a cycle. And so that kept me going. I was like, listen, I'm not trying to be up to 75, still in a cycle. And so, yeah, it is important, very much important to sit with yourself. And when you sit with yourself, you learn more about yourself, but you also learn what you don't want. And so
Mhm.
now when you see those red flags, oh, they're red flags.
Oh,
And
they
just
are.
how you was saying, when I tell you I see them red flags, and I be like, almost like the first 5 minutes of the conversation. If
Yes.
I'm just out, because I work at a bank, and so men always coming in there trying to talk to me, and I'm counting their money or whatever, but I'm listening. And the first 5 minutes, I be like, baby, you ain't getting my number. Baby, no.
What
You
Kevin
got how
Gates
many baby
said?
mamas? Oh, they all grown. My kids all grown. Baby, no. You got 9
Mm-mm.
baby mamas, and all your kids grown. Okay, but you got 9 baby mamas. So
That's yep.
That's a
I
red
can't
flag.
bank on the fact that you 51 and you have fit with yourself. No. So But
Mhm.
that comes again from me, going on my journey, sitting with myself. And it is a process. Every single day I'm learning something new about myself. Every single day I'm learning new triggers. And
Mhm.
I'm not going to say I'll be triggered every day, but I still have triggers. And I have to, when those triggers happen,
Mhm.
I know it's growth because I don't react the same way I used to.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I do have
Yeah.
my triggers, and it don't feel good. But I also pat myself on the back because I tell myself the old Ranika would have reacted like this. The old Ranika would have crashed out.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
Because I
Mhm.
am a retired crash out. I'm just that.
I want to put a spotlight on something you just said, Ranika, and I think that's so important for humans of whatever age we are, right?
Mhm.
And I know we're probably a range of ages, is, a lot of the trauma and the hurt that we're working through healing happened in childhood, teenage years,
Mhm.
but we can't forget we're still growing and developing.
Mhm.
So we can experience and do experience new traumas, new hurt,
Mhm.
new pain, right? So I think that speaks to our, sorry, I don't remember who said it earlier. Our healing journey is ongoing, right? And
Yes.
that you discover, ooh, I got another wound right there that I didn't
Mhm.
know about or I didn't
Mhm.
see. And that
Mhm.
could have been one, I'm thinking, I'm working on the stuff from when I was 6, 7, 8,
Yeah.
Mhm.
13, 14, 15.
Yes.
And then, some stuff went down in my 30s, but I'm not even there yet.
Yes.
Maybe I might not get to that until I'm 53. I don't know.
Mhm.
But that I wanted to I feel like that's so important to say because I do think, and I do think this point was made earlier, people think, right, like it's finite, right? Like you go through your healing process and your journey, and that's it, right? Like now
Mhm.
I don't know,
The
You
big
healed.
celebration comes and
yeah,
Yeah.
like you're
Yeah.
healed, full
Mhm.
stop.
You
Like you're gonna live
heal.
out the rest of your
Yeah.
days as a healed person. And
Mhm.
and that's not true and it's not fair to
You know where I think that comes from too? Church. Like when the
oh
people say
yes.
put your hands up and then they touch you on your
Mhm.
forehead and your knee fall
Mhm.
Mhm.
out.
Healed.
Up in your
You
you
heal.
know, your shower,
Mhm.
you healed, and
Yeah.
everybody think healing work just like that.
Yeah. They do. They do. They do. They
But
do.
you know what I find with and I don't know if it's just with African American people. With that being said, we're not taught to heal.
No.
That's something
No.
that
Taught
we're
to
not
hold it
taught
in.
to heal. And when I envision trauma, when you are inflicted by trauma, it's just like you are like you're a ball of ice. And you know, as you're rolling down a hill of ice, you're steady picking up other ice particles, growing into a bigger ice ball. And then when you get to the end or whatever, and that shit explode, that's everything coming together. And every time you're triggered by something, everything that you've ever experienced as a trauma has been ignited. You
Yes.
start thinking about, oh, when I was 5 years old, this is why this happened to me when I was 30, when I was 12 years old. This is why this is happening to me while
Mhm.
I was now that I'm 30, when I was 15. This is why this is happening to me as a 30-year-old. So
Mhm.
you
Facts.
know, we collect all of this bullshit, right? But
Yeah.
nobody never teaches us how. They don't even have classes like that in school. I think that need to be taught in
No.
elementary
For
school.
sure. For
How
sure.
to reset your emotions. That should be on the curriculum.
Mhm. Yes. Because my grandmother who raised me, she never said anything bad about her childhood. But I feel like she gonna be with the Lord now. But I feel like her trauma came from her ex-husband. She got married, I think, at 17, and they was divorced by the time she was 21. But he was very abusive. He had money. He used to cheat, on her a lot. And when she would find out about the women, he would abuse her. And so she told me the last time he put his hands on her, she stabbed him and she left. But what I saw in my grandmother was a woman that was very unhealed. She after that situation, she developed bipolar, and so I didn't
Mhm.
know that until I was kind of older. But my grandmother, she yelled all the time. She always, we call it bad nerves
Yeah.
in New Orleans. My nerves bad. She had very bad nerves. Now that I realized her nervous system was dysregulated. But she yelled all the time. She cussed. She was loving in her own way. But I realized that she passed all that down to my mama.
Mhm.
And so now I'm dealing with a mama who yell all the time, curse you out. In our household, between my grandmother, my mama, and even my daddy's side, because I'm a daddy's girl too, but my daddy have a big family. Everybody communicated with yelling, fussing, cussing each other out. That's all I saw growing up. And so when my grandmother, as she got older, she never remarried or anything. But when I realized, and I'm like, my grandma was very, very just a unhealed woman. She didn't, they didn't teach that back then. And so even everything that I do now, I carry her with me because I'm just like, if I would have just, if I would have knew the things I knew, maybe she would have been receptive to it and I could have introduced some things to her. But I always tell myself I don't want to be that woman. Even with where I come from, taking accountability is a big thing. My family don't know how to take accountability. That's not something that they've learned, but I learned that on my healing journey. You got to take accountability for the things you did as well. And
Mhm.
so I'm pretty much like the outcast, kind of, in my family, because I call it sitting with myself. I've sat with myself, and so when things go on, they say, "Oh Lord, here she go," and I'm like, "No, I'm gonna call it out." One thing about I'm gonna disrupt them. I'm gonna call it out because this is trauma, this is unhealed wounds, this is what's going on, and nothing gets resolved. And so I don't try to force it, but I do try to introduce things because I do feel like I come from a family that is full of chaos. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
And that's a lot to come out of too, especially when
Oh,
you're not taught those skills. Like who comes in and into our communities because a long time ago, I'm not gonna say that. Post Katrina, we thought that therapy was like, okay, you crazy if you
You're
go to
crazy.
therapy.
That's for the crazy people.
Now
For the
we've
crazy
moved.
people.
That's for the crazy people, but I've heard more about healing maybe in the past 3 years of how men suffer from mental health issues. That's why they can't be in functional relationships. They're toxic, or as we want to say. Or we haven't really spoken about trauma as a whole within the African American community, because I mean our trauma, we've been triggered by that since the beginning of time. We go all the way from slavery. When I mean, can you imagine a mom getting beaten and then she's pregnant with her child, and their nervous systems are disrupted, and they're passing that disruptive gene down generation to generation to generation to generation, and nobody ever says, okay. Even when I was working in juvenile court as a social worker, and you had all these families with a multitude of issues where, okay, education was a fact, a lack of education was a factor, like how to communicate, because communication is very, very, very important. But who teaches our generation how to effectively communicate our wants and needs? But because whenever we express what we want and what we need, is always we're shunned upon, or we're punished. We receive some type of punitive punishment because we're expressing the things that we need and want to make us a healthy human being.
Yes. Yes. So true. And that's one of the things I've worked on is my communication. Because again, I come from a family that we yelled. We yelled. I'll never forget my son dad back when I was a teenager when we got together. He said, all y'all do is yell. He says, all that's how I communicate with him. You know, that was, and so when I look back on that, I'm like, oh girl, that's exhausting. I would have left me. I would have left me if I had to put up with that. But now, my communication has gotten so much better because after me and my ex broke up, my daughter's dad, after me and him broke up, it was very toxic. He was hurt, mad, hurt, whatever you want to call it, because I left him. So he was bitter. He was a good dad, but just real bitter towards me. And me, I'm like, I'm tit for tat, because I'm still learning myself. I'm on this healing journey. I'm sitting with myself, but he would do things to trigger me. And so finally, maybe 2 months ago, I said, you know what? I'm gonna have a calm conversation with this man. And we talk, and when I tell you, it's been 2 months, y'all, but hopefully it continues. But we had a good conversation just about co-parenting. I told him how I felt. I allowed him to express how he felt, and I received it. Because at the end of the day, men have feelings too. And I
Mhm.
was taught growing up that a man need to be a man. They don't show no weakness. They can't show no weakness. And so in my mind, I used to, only thing that mattered really was me and my feelings. But as I was having that conversation with him, I realized, you know what? A lot of this could have been avoided if we wouldn't have been our egos, But just by me softening up, having that conversation, my daughter she's thriving, And so I'm learning too, to you gotta learn how to communicate, Ronika. It's the way you say things. You don't have to, cause the person act a certain way, you don't gotta beat them down with your words. You can get more out of a situation just by you taking the first step to say, you know what, let me regulate myself, and I'll have this conversation, because I started realizing he was reacting off of me. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Reacting off of me because I'm all tensed up. I'm tensed up, and you understand what I'm saying? Because I'm still hurt from things he did. So when I'm talking to him,
Mhm.
one thing he say, I'm on it. And
Uh-huh.
so I realize now, like, learn communication. That is a big, big thing. But a lot of women, and I'm gonna say this, a lot of Black women, we don't want to look weak.
Mhm.
I ain't about to, cause he, baby, look. You gotta we do have to pick our battles sometimes as women. And I do feel like it starts with communication, especially if you still have ties to a man with a child, you
Yeah.
know, and if that man is willing, if he's willing, you know, if he's willing to have these conversations so that y'all can raise this child. Because again, my daughter is 5, so I got many more years. You
Mhm.
understand? To have to, you know, communicate with this man. And so I would say communication is a big part of everything, especially in our community. We got to start with that too.
Yeah. And also in relationships, I find that when you take an accountability for who you are and you tend to recognize, okay, this recognize the situation for what it is.
Hmm.
Not encountering that person with your expectations of how they're supposed to treat you, how they're supposed to communicate with you, because everybody communicates differently. Everybody has a different reaction in to everything. So just
Hmm.
recognizing that person for who they are. If you know a man has a tendency to, he just have issues. He's toxic. I can't even name it what it is right now. But you know, and I'm gonna just speak from a situation that I had. Like I was involved with a guy. Like he'll come in and he's a pure narcissist, right? He'll hover me in, buy me gifts, cater to me, be nice to me. Then when he gets what he wants out the situation, then he was out of here. So that I was infatuated with of what the situation, like you said before, the way you treated me in the beginning. I was steady chasing that high of what
Hmm.
you gave me in the beginning, that I couldn't see that, okay, this is who he is, girl.
Yes.
He's never gonna be what you want him to be. He fooled your ass. Okay, you got caught up in the game. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah.
But the moment I started seeing that person for who they really were, and I having the expectation of I'm needing someone or needing that person to love me, because at this point, I don't give a shit how you feel about me. This is what it is. This is how you're going to treat me. If you can't be respectful and treat me the way I need to be treated, and when you're in my company, and no, we're not being intimate. I'm not giving into them stories. I'm not, because I don't have the need to feel needed and wanted by that person anymore.
Hmm.
The minute we let that go, then I think we can communicate more effectively, because we're not communicating based on the outcomes is going to be the outcomes that we
Right.
expect in the
Or
moment.
what we want it to be, you
Yeah.
know.
So I
Yeah.
want to say this because on what you just said, Keisha, because I think some of it isn't just um like communicating what we want and not getting, because I think sometimes it's an idea of we have to sometimes take our time with people, because people can give you a whole lot of things and show you a whole lot of love and love bomb you, but the receipt of it and how you interpret it has everything to do with you, and not what people's manipulative thoughts or
Mhm.
purposes or any of those things are. What happens is that need that we have, that we think, that's why it's a continuous process, right?
Mhm.
That's happened on it. That's happened
Mhm.
on it. And that inner child wants to trust. That inner child wants to be
Mhm.
coaxed. That inner child wants to be loved on,
Mhm.
all of those things. And because we keep presenting ourselves as whole and strong and healed and all of those things, we keep telling the little child, you all right, you okay, you okay. And you're thrusting yourself in a situation, and the inner child is waking up and trying to remind you, we're not there yet, sis. But
Uh-huh.
we keep rushing it. We keep
Yeah.
rushing it, right? And so
Mhm.
but the inner child is waking up and saying, when you start to feel yourself doing things and it's not really adding up, right? The ones, the twos, and the threes, we jump into seven when we are one.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, I was about to date a guy. You heard I say about. We had a text thread. He sends me a text and he asks me, "Are you dating other people?" I said, "Absolutely." He said, "Well, how am I going to get to know you if you're dating other people?" Well, that's what dating is, ain't it?
Mhm.
Okay. So I broke that thing down and he was like, "Well, I can't do that. Ain't nobody going to date you if you dating other people." I said,
Mm.
I said, "Well, you know what? Thank you, but no thank you. Have a great day. You know, I wish you well on your endeavors."
Mm.
But then he wanted to continue to ask me questions about this concept. So I'm confused on why you think that it isn't. And so the thing was, it was a manipulative tactic to rush me into a situation, right?
Mm.
So the first of all, the inner child in that part of you that says, "Okay, hold on. There's nothing he's done to give you any inkling or feeling to make you think that he's worth another conversation.
Yeah.
Not one thing." But oftentimes, because we want somebody, we want to be loved, we want to be felt, we want to be touched, we want to feel, and all of those things, we go into that little thing knowing, hold on, he showed you what he wanted, who he was, and all of that. And here you sit, you interpret that as, oh, he just wants to be my one and only. Am I lying? I mean,
No,
That's that toxic trait. That's that
That's the
toxic
truth.
trait in you to think that.
that's why it says about it's you.
Uh-huh.
People will continue to be who they are, right? The same demons, the same situations over and over and over until you learn.
So you
Mhm.
And
learn.
until you come to the place that you have said enough is enough. Like you say, sis, let me sit with me and deal with this issue.
Mhm.
Head up, right? Let
Head
me
up.
do some self-development, right? Let me start to pray and cry out to God so that he can show me the me and help me to heal in the places that I keep suppressing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
let me
that when,
say,
so
go
I
ahead.
ain't got to keep getting the whole okie doke, because I promise you, baby, listen. The next time somebody be public, it's gonna be a real situation.
Let me
Ain't
and let me
nobody ever
say,
seen nobody I'd ever dated unless I was married to him.
I love that for you. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take notes.
Yeah.
If we ain't
I'm
get
gonna take
married,
notes.
boo, I don't know you.
I already said. What?
I don't know you. I'm
Let
telling
me take that back. I've really only been public with one man. However, I was
you.
very public with him, and that's my ex. But girl, and he was all incorporated in my brain because I had a praline business. So every time I post me and him, my numbers will go crazy. My orders will go crazy, because I would just post little funny things that we would do and stuff with the kids and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not doing that no more. Like, I don't even want. Since I've been out that relationship, I mainly be on Instagram and TikTok. But my actual private Facebook page, I barely even post on that. And I've been on that page for 15 years. I used to post on that page every day. And that's people I grew up with, people I went to school with, family and stuff like that. But after me and him, I literally I barely post on there. But I wanted to piggyback off of something that you said, sis, to all my lady viewers that's watching. We as women, when we go on these dates with these men, and I have to address this, we have to. A lot of these men, when you date them, even if you're on the phone with them and you just met them or something, the first thing they want to say is, well, you know what, dang, you pretty, you too pretty to be single, or you too smart to be single. Like, why you single? As women, we have to stop trauma dumping. We will go back into our childhood. Well, I'm single because he cheated on me and stuff like that, and I just loved him so much because I always wanted to feel safe because I was molested as a child. We have to stop.
Mm-hmm.
We First of all, that man haven't showed you no inkling that he even deserves that
For
type
you.
of information from you. That's number
Absolutely.
one. Number
Mm-hmm.
two, we are literally giving them the blueprint to
So
do
how to
the
get
same
you?
thing that the last man did. Because a lot of them
Mm-hmm.
is fishing for information to see
Yep.
how far they can go with you, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or looking for those wombs. A lot of these men are they're very smart.
Oh, they savvy,
They're
baby.
very smart. And see, I dealt with a man at one point. I dated a man in my 20s who studied psychology. I didn't even know the man studied psychology. I just was like, oh, he's smart. I was wondering how he would know certain things about me. For one, I was telling him, but he knew how to manipulate me so good. It didn't last long, but maybe a month or two. But I caught on because at first I'm like, this man voodooing me? Like, what is he in my head the whole time? The man that studied psychology, and I'm just spilling everything. So as women, when we get with these men, they ask you why you're single. Just say, oh, I just decided to take time out for myself. Cut it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Also, if they ask you, well, what happened with your ex and all that? Oh, it just didn't work out. But let's talk about you. I want to get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
You let them talk more and you talk a little less,
Mm-hmm.
at least about the things that you've been through. And so I just wanted to put that out there
Yeah.
because
He
I
said
get
no.
so many
He said
DMs.
no, no.
And I do it like, again, I work at a bank. And one man told me he just was talking. I'm just like, okay. And he set up, he said, now see, I done told you all my business. And I don't know nothing about you. And it wasn't purposely. Like, I just was listening. But again, that's a part of my journey now. So I am changing and evolving even when I don't realize it. And so when he said that, I thought to myself, I laughed. I said, whew. And I'm like, I wanted to say good job, Ronika, because I get but
Yep.
I let
Totally.
him talk all I let him say everything he need to say. And I said, I don't care what's in your account. You ain't getting his number.
And that's the key
That's a
right
wrap.
there. The listening to the red flags, because I always say all you have to do is talk to somebody long enough, baby. The true person is gonna reveal themselves, especially if they talkative. I'm gonna let you talk. Why you not? Oh, me and my ex love me to death, baby. He want me back, regardless if he don't or not.
One
I'm
second.
I'm the prize here. If you want me, you gonna deal with me. But I know it's almost that time, y'all. Oh, yeah, it's the time. So I want to say this, to everyone out there, you are allowed to heal, you are allowed to grow. But just remember that these things take time and you really have to sit with yourself and allow yourself to become one with yourself, and allow yourself to just sit in it, because you have to sit in your pain, sit in your trauma, sit in whatever you're dealing with and going through. You have to put a name on it. And if you can't put a name on it and you can't call it what it is, and you still walking around thinking it don't exist, then guess what? Every relationship that you come across is definitely going to be identical to the last relationship that you were in.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes, and I'm gonna say this, sometimes we have to make choices to choose ourselves, no matter how much it hurts us. We have to
No
learn
matter how much.
how to choose yourself. So I really enjoyed this conversation tonight, ladies. Like, I think I'm gonna cry when I get off of here. But I feel like this was a great fellowship with us tonight. I would like to have this conversation again, and maybe we can have like men come on talk about. I
Mhm.
mean, I think this would be an interesting conversation
Yes.
for the guys. So just to get their perspectives on this, but to the audience, I just want to encourage you guys, to tune in each week. I'm here at 7 o'clock again on YouTube and Instagram at KPR Productions LLC. Don't forget to like and subscribe, y'all. Y'all liking and subscribe is very important. So that I can build my followers and bring this wonderful information to y'all, and we can have live panels and do live shows. So y'all can get to actually meet the panelists in person. So that's my goal for 2026. So on that note, I appreciate you guys. I love you, and
Yeah.
good night. And thank
Good
you,
night,
ladies.
y'all. It
Good
was
night,
nice meeting
y'all.
y'all, ladies.
Nice
Thank
to
you
meet
for
you as
welcoming me.
well.
I
Bye-bye.
appreciate y'all
Good
so
night.
much.
you.